Welcome to Please Allow Paul to Teach You Things. This is a podcast, and it's also a YouTube video. My name is Paul, and I'm joined by Megan.
Hi, I'm Megan.
Megan is doing the drawing.
Yes.
Yes. And I'm doing the teaching. So this is a podcast. So if you're listening to it as a podcast, you have no idea what Megan is drawing. I want to just visually describe it to you. It's very good.
It's a thumbs up, but...
That's a thumbs up right there.
Whew.
So the idea of this show is that the best way to learn things is to teach them. And so I don't know nearly as much as I'd like to know. So by teaching things that I'm trying to learn more about, I can learn more about them. And then if you want to learn about them, maybe you'll get lucky and I'll say something you didn't already know. And the thing I say won't be false. So, we're all sort of gambling here on the usefulness of this endeavor. But I'm really grateful that you're here. I'm really grateful that Megan's here. And today we're going to learn about
computers. Drew you with a happy face because you're thankful, grateful, but also took me a while. You said you want to learn more things. So these are all the questions you have and the questions that I have.
Okay. What's your first question about a computer? What do you even think of when I say computer? What's a computer?
Well, it's what you do your word processing on, and it's what I draw on.
Okay.
And like if I go really far back in time, I would say a computer is a big machine that fills a whole room and computes something. I don't know what, like nuclear codes.
These are all true.
Yeah. Your brain, the human brain is a computer.
That is
an organic computer.
Not certain. We don't know yet. Okay, so one definition of a computer that I really like. It's a thing that can compute all things that are computable.
One more time, please. I'm sorry. I cut on to this and then I immediately stopped listening.
A computer is something that can compute all things that are computable.
Okay.
So for instance, one thing that could be a computer is a person. And that is the old-timey definition of a computer. Is a person is basically somebody who just does a lot of math.
Yeah.
Right? Like we've got all this math that needs to be done. Like we need, like you mentioned, military. We need like ballistic trajectories, right? We need to know, we put, the cannon at this angle, like where the artillery shell is going to land. So I want you to draw a box.
1 second. First, let me draw Lee Pace, Halt and Catch Fire.
Right. You need, first, obviously, you need a visionary such as Lee Pace.
In Halt and Catch Fire.
Or a von Neumann or an Alan Turing if you want to get real mathematical about it.
You gotta really know it's him. Okay.
So Lee Pace is like, we need an architecture for computers. Computers can compute all things computable, but how do we build them physically? So there's a CPU and there's memory.
Okay.
And you need input and output.
Okay. CPU. Memory.
Right?
Input. Output.
Yes.
Was there one more thing?
Well, there's lots of things, but I feel like those are like
the
big things. And you can kind of always, the fun thing about computers, and it's a little frustrating, is you can always learn so much more about everything. And everything can, well, let's just continue.
Okay. Computer.
A computer.
What kind of box? Rectangular? Square?
I think of it as a rectangle.
Okay.
So let's remember, computers do all things computable. So something that is computable turns out to be Instagram, but let's do a little simpler, and we'll do 2 + 2.
Okay.
So 2 + 2 is a program. And the program part is basically like let's see.
Lee Pace doesn't know, so he's really...
He invented a computer to solve this problem for him.
He's telling the other guy, make this computer for me so I can find out what 2 + 2 is. Right. Are we about to invent a calculator?
We are kind of making a calculator. Because if you think about it, a computer is a really fast calculator that does lots of calculations over and over.
Oh, no. Oh, man. You had it at the wrong shape. There we go.
Okay. There you go. Okay, so now we have these 4 pieces, right? We have input and output. So our inputs are 2.
Okay.
Right?
Let's mark this by color. Input 2.
Okay. Right? And then another 2, right?
2.
And then plus is what we want to do.
Oh.
See, that's also an input.
Okay.
This is actually an
that one
important
seems more complicated.
This is an important thing about the von Neumann architecture. Is that we have these numbers, and then we have this plus sign, which is called an instruction. And in the von Neumann architecture, and basically all computers that we use, instructions and numbers, it's all mixed together.
Okay.
And that comes in from the input, and it goes into memory. It gets stored in memory.
Okay. So we put it inside a little memory box.
Yeah.
There it is.
Now, so what the CPU does, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if we need a different color for the CPU.
Let's do it just in case.
So the CPU, central processing unit, this is the brain of the computer.
Oh.
That is definitely what a brain looks like.
You know what? I've never seen mine, so could be.
Okay, so the CPU's like, well, what are we going to do today? I'll ask the memory.
Okay.
Right? So the CPU looks in the memory, and the memory says, put the number 2 into register 1. Turns out, CPU has its own memory. It's very confusing.
I just finally got to having the idea to draw a brain with eyes and say, I'm looking into the memory. But it has its own memory?
I mean, so if you think about it, there's so many different types of memory in computing. There's like hard drives, there's RAM, there's cache, and then there's what are called registers. So like you can imagine like you have different kinds of memory based on how long that information needs to live. So in a sense, like it's kind of like it's looking up a recipe, right? So it's going to the recipe. That's a very permanent piece of memory, right? This is a program, right? This is 2 + 2. 2 + 2 is going to last forever. I'm going to do different recipes at different times, but when I'm reading the 2 + 2 recipe, I'm going to load in a 2. I'm going to load in another 2 into what's called a register.
Okay.
That's like the temporary memory.
All right.
I'm going to load these things into my register. And then I'm going to load the instruction called plus that's going to say add register 1 to register 2. It looks like I'm losing you.
This is all going into the memory? Okay.
No. Sorry. This is coming from the memory.
But isn't it a structure inside of the memory?
What's a structure inside the memory?
I don't know. You just said so many things.
I think one problem with our diagram right now. Maybe put the 2 + 2 outside.
Oh, but it's still into. Oh no.
That's something that we are like feeding into the computer.
Oh no, my perfect rectangle. Okay.
And so maybe put that on the left. Like input comes from the left, then it goes into the computer. The computer does stuff with it, right?
Making me move all my stuff around. Okay.
And
Computer's
then
right there.
And then we'll do the output is theoretically going to be 4. Like, we're not certain yet because we haven't done all the operations.
And it's 4.
That would be the output. That's like something like the output would be something like the screen, right? Like input would be something like a keyboard or your hard drive or something like that.
What goes on inside of here?
Which is good. I mean, now that we have it designed like this, one thing that's very common in computers is that it's like a black box, right? You can basically treat anything that you don't understand as like, well, I know if I feed it this thing, I'll get this output. Oops. So that's fine.
So our input is 2 plus 2. Seems like a lot, but well, it does. You got your numbers and your pluses.
Right.
Ooh.
It's I don't know. It's weird when you think about it. That like.
Well, I mean, if I was thinking about my own brain, I would be like, why can I see pictures in my mind? Why can I, you know what I'm saying?
Wait, no, please explain.
It's like when, like if you're having a dream, whatever image you're seeing like the image inside of your mind. It's not like you're actually seeing those things.
Right.
So like, why? How's that work? And that thing's inside of me. So like this.
Wait, how does this seem bigger than seeing a picture in your mind?
Because it's like you're taking the same technology you use to like see a picture in your mind and put it out into like a thing that you can hold. Like you're taking math that you can do in your brain, and I don't even know how I can like think of numbers. And like I can take those numbers and I can be like 2 plus 2 equals 4, which mostly is rote for me. Maybe like I'm sure if you gave me like 2 things and 2 things, I could be like, there's 4. But I don't know how my brain can do that. So the ability to take that from my brain and put it into a thing. It's kind of weird when you think about it.
It's cool. Yeah, and I think now that you mentioned that, there was always been this crazy optimism that we're building thinking machines. Like Turing came up with the Turing test. So the same person who like invented this sort of mathematical description of what a computer is for the first time is also the person who thought, well, someday these computers will think exactly like us. How are we going to tell what's a robot and what's a computer? So like, there was that very immediate thought. Now that we're describing thinking physically.
Paul, can I interrupt you?
Yes.
There's a whole show about that, and it's called Battlestar Galactica. It's very good. Okay. I highly recommend it.
I'll check that out.
It's really great.
Okay, so our input is 2 plus 2. Our output is 4.
Yeah.
So
how?
How?
What happens?
A good question. Inside that black box is something called a CPU.
Okay. Wait for it. No, I can't use that color. I'm so sorry. CPU. Everything would be better if it was all green and black, kind of like the Matrix. More computery, but this is what we got.
So the CPU.
Yes.
Takes 2 and it puts it into what's called a register.
Okay.
Which is like, it's like memory. And I'm trying to think of a good way to describe this. Like, what would be an equivalent of a register? When I'm saying register, what is even coming into your head?
Like a cashier's register. Like this, and it's got a whole bunch of buttons on it, like that. All those little buttons. Usually they're better laid out.
I mean,
it's got some money.
Registers are. I mean, think a cash register. What do? You tally up a bunch of things, right, and you add them together.
Yeah. Sorry, that was very childish of me.
I think a CPU. You can think of registers as like, or any kind of memory as sort of like a blackboard. It's something that's easily erasable.
Okay.
You put something there so that you can look at it later. right? Because that's the interesting thing about computers is they're in some sense they are only doing like conceptually they're only doing one thing at a time, and we have CPUs at least, and we have improved them in lots of ways so that they can actually in fact do lots of things at a time, but conceptually they are just doing one instruction at a time. And so the first instruction in 2 + 2 is put 2 in register. It's like a little box where you're going to store some information.
Okay.
And then you're going to look at it real soon, but you're not going to use it just yet, but you need to keep it at hand. Keep it a handy spot to keep it to. Like you read the recipe, right? And it says you're going to need to measure out a cup and you're going to need to measure out a tablespoon. So you get those out and you keep them nearby. And so the CPU is reading through this recipe, this program called 2 + 2, and it sees a 2 and says, okay, well, I'm going to keep that nearby. And then it sees another 2. It's like, I'm going to keep that nearby. And then it sees a plus. And now it knows what to do with the 2 2s it has.
Okay. And so now I'm thinking, well, when you say recipe, now I'm keeping stuff nearby. Now I'm thinking about how I plan when I'm going to bake something.
Okay.
Keep everything out on the counter.
Yes.
And measure it out.
Okay.
And it's all there.
How do you do this?
I just so for example, if I'm making bread, I'm like, gotta get my 8 cups and put it in a bowl so it's ready.
Right.
And then gotta get my 2/3 sugar and put it in a bowl so it's ready. And then I have everything out, and then when it comes time to mix everything, it's all there. And I just go, this is what I need, and I put it in my bowl and I mix it up.
Okay.
Is that the same kind of thing you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Very much. That's what I mean about at hand.
All right.
Imagine, though, that you have a very simple computer that it has a very small counter space.
Oh, no.
Okay, so you're making a recipe.
Well, we've got kind of a small kitchen, so.
That has 2 ingredients. 2 + 2 has 2 ingredients. The 2 numbers 2. There's 2 ingredients. Luckily, you have 2 spots on your counter to put ingredients.
Okay.
You put the 2 on your counter, and then you put your 2 on the counter. Plus is like instruction.
That's my only instruction, yeah.
It's like mix both 2s by adding them.
Yeah, okay.
And so the CPU's like, I know where those are. They're on my very small counter. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Recipe is like 2 2s. Direction is like 1. Add those 2s.
Add those 2s.
Okay. This works for me. I should have been drawing it, but I got really into it. So.
I'm really glad that we figured this out.
Thing actually works for me.
Because this is something that happens with computers. There are larger and larger counters that you if you think about it, when you're cooking something, you have the stuff on the counter. That's like the CPU register. That's like the closest thing. That's the things that you can actually operate on.
Okay.
You can't add 2 numbers if they're stored away in the fridge, right? You can't mix things while they're still in storage, right? So you're pulling something into a CPU's register is to make it active and usable for like multiplying or adding or doing some very basic work on that item.
Okay.
That's a CPU register. And then you have something like RAM, which is your fridge, right?
That's my sign. Just kidding.
What is your...
It's not actually. My sign is Capricorn, but
Which one's RAM?
Ram is Aries, I believe.
Aries, okay.
Capricorn is a goat. It's like a goat fish.
Do you know what RAM is?
Oh, just like
for computers,
computer, not the animal.
Yeah.
I know that I only had like 2 gigs of it on my first Mac.
Okay.
Maybe I had 1 gig of it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Because I had like 80 gigs of memory and then 1 gig of RAM. And everybody was like, ooh, should have gotten 2.
So that is exactly, you see, think about that. Your hard drive had 80 gigabytes.
Oh my gosh.
Your RAM had 1 gigabyte. And you probably had a computer or a CPU with what's called L1 and maybe L2, maybe even L3 cache, which would have been in the megabytes.
Okay. Whoa.
And then the CPU register is way smaller than that. And so you have this stack, like I don't even know how to draw. Well, maybe like a pyramid, or like a large foot.
Drawing RAM.
Okay, yeah. So RAM is where you might have had the 2 and the plus and the 2. Like you might have had a stored program. Yeah, this is a really good RAM, and it's just a terrible way of describing what RAM is in computers.
It's been branded. Fine. Go. Let's do your way. We can't. No, a pyramid.
Maybe a pyramid. So at the tippy top, you have the CPU registers, right?
Let's represent that with, I don't know, like an eye.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, it's good. Just kind of off the cuff.
So there's the CPU register that does the actual computation.
Okay.
Or it's that's the countertop. That's when the information's actually at hand. The CPU register reads information from the L1 cache, which reads information from the L2 cache, which reads the L1, L2, L3. These are like different, like how hot the information is, how recent it is.
So wait, this guy, CPU, I, is reading from L1, L2. Is that inside of the RAM?
That's in the CPU. It's like memory.
Oh, so this is all.
It's
L1,
memory that's in the
L2,
CPU. No.
It's, what?
Oh wait. See, L1, L2. So it's the. This is. I don't know why I'm so bad at explaining this.
What's in here?
I've decided that the eyeball is the control unit.
Okay.
CPUs, and I didn't know this until today. CPUs have 2 main parts. I always thought they were kind of like, CPU is a CPU, and you can make it in a lot of different ways, but whatever. But there are almost all CPUs apparently have these 2 major parts: the control unit,
Okay.
and the application logic unit.
Wait, the pyramid is the CPU, right?
No.
Oh no. We've just been at this so long and I already forgot.
The pyramid is the pyramid of memory.
Okay, pyramid of memory.
Right.
I should write that down somewhere.
The very tippy top of the pyramid is the register.
Okay, very tippy top. 1 second. I need to finish this background real quick.
These are very good hills, by the way.
Thank you. They're actually dunes.
So we have a pyramid with sand dunes, and we have an eyeball at the top.
Oh, you're gonna have to really work in sand.
You're about to learn about computers. So I feel like the thing that would make this complete is like all the masses away from the computer who are subjugated, like they're workers, subjugated workers. The subjugated workers are the ALU. The ALU does the actual math.
Okay, wait. What's the tippy top of the pyramid again?
The registers.
Registers. What's the eyeball again?
The CU, the control unit.
CU, that means control unit. Control unit. Sorry. The pyramid is...
Right, so memory.
Memory.
It's the layers of memory. Well, so registers, below registers you have cache. CACHE.
That makes way more sense.
Right, you've got the cache. Below cache, you have RAM. RAM. And then below
Thank
RAM,
you.
I'm sorry. Below RAM, you have like a hard drive, right? That's like longer term storage. Right. So these are different tiers of memory. And then below hard drives you have, I don't know, like Blu-ray discs or like tape drives, and
all right.
you have different, and so register is very tiny, but it's very close to the control unit, so it's very fast. Actually, now that I think about it, the subjugated workers should be up near the top. Because what the control unit's going to do is going to say, I have a 2, I'm going to put it in a register. I have another 2, I'm going to put it in a register. Now I have a plus. I'm going to tell the subjugated workers, the ALU, to look up these 2 numbers that I have stored in the register and add them together and then put them in the register, put the result in the register.
Okay, wait, what was step 1? I got really distracted by my pyramid.
So working very near the top of the pyramid is the ALU, which is where our subjugated workers are. And their scaffolding does not go down.
It's gotta go down though. That doesn't make any sense if it's just up there. How'd they get up there?
I'm trying to work with this, Megan.
You said pyramid.
I meant pyramid like a pyramid scheme.
Oh, okay. Well, it's the same shape. Let me I'm changing them to just rams. I know that rams don't have hands.
Right, but these are rams that are very good at math.
Yeah, well, yeah, what ram isn't? Don't they climb mountains? Or is that mountain goats?
I think some rams climb mountains.
That's like, how cats are really good at math?
Because of like the physics calculations?
Yeah. They gotta like figure it out. I'm sure like rams have something like that. Like they have to be able to calculate force or something, right? Because they're always ramming each other.
That's right.
I don't really know how rams work.
Also brain damage.
Oh, poor guys. Poor fellas.
So the eyeball is the control unit.
Ooh.
It's in charge of everything.
Oh.
It tells the ALU what to do.
Okay.
The ALU does the math. That's really all I was trying to say.
Oh. Well, it would be better if we did oceans as the analogy when you think about it.
Oh, the computer is a tide and the users are moons.
Yeah.
Math is a tide.
Math is a tide. Ooh.
And the physics of math crashing against the beach is like the physics of the ones and zeros and the electrical signals inside.
Yeah, looks like we should have gone with that analogy.
ALU.
Would have been a lot better than this stupid garbage.
I can't even remember why we're talking about pyramid.
I don't remember. You said pyramid, and I trusted you.
Yeah.
See, now I'm just getting too polishing. Into it.
It's very good.
Well, yeah, it just kind of felt like.
At this point, I feel like you owe it to yourself to improve the scaffolding to be sort of aesthetic that
I like the sketchiness of it, actually.
Okay.
I think it's kind of fun. I'm just upset that I don't get to finish it because the analogy fell apart.
This is a computer.
So wait, is the ram talking to the eye? Here it is.
Okay, we're back, everybody. Megan has finished a very beautiful picture of a pyramid in the desert. 2 moons.
2, well, could be stars, could be...
No stars.
3-body problem.
We've got the Illuminati eye at the top of the pyramid, and then we have a ram on a piece of scaffolding on the pyramid. We're going to make this work. This is going to be our analogy. Okay, we're gonna do all computing right here.
I'm just gonna finish up the scaffolding a little bit.
The pyramid is memory. All right.
All right. Wait. Let me get a nicer pen.
The very tippy top, the part that the CU. Oh, I guess we can label some of our elements. The eyeball, the Illuminati eye above the pyramid, is the CU. It is what is
who said anything about the Illuminati?
Okay. Sorry. The Freemason eyeball.
It's just an eye. I don't know why you had to make a big deal about it. Okay, sorry.
The eyeball's the CU. That's the control unit.
Let's do a different color for that. Yep. Oh, that was stupid. There we go. CU.
Yeah. The RAM.
It's the RAM?
Is the APU.
Oh, no.
The animal, a RAM, does all of the math. The CU tells
APU?
ALU. I'm sorry, I probably said it wrong.
No, I probably wasn't listening.
The top part of the pyramid where the CU and the ALU are kind of hooking up.
Yeah.
Is the register.
Okay, so this part.
Yeah.
Is the...
That's when we're referring to our earlier analogy of a kitchen counter. That's the counter space.
Should have drawn that.
That's the most immediate things. Below the register.
Okay, wait, let me do a new layer here. Below the register, you say?
In the pyramid of memory.
The meat of the pyramid.
You have the cache.
Okay, so cache is beneath the register.
Yeah.
So we'll say right here, cache. Spelled it right this time.
Nice. Below the cache, you have RAM.
RAM.
That is random access memory.
Random access
memory.
I don't need to spell the whole thing. No, we know what that word is.
We all know. Below the RAM, you have your hard drive.
Okay.
Or your SSD.
Can that take up the whole space? No, because you said something about Blu-rays earlier. Hard drive. Is that 1D or 2? It's one word.
Hard drive is 2 words.
Hard drive is not one word?
It's 2 words.
You sure?
Pretty sure. Hard isn't like a suffix to a word.
I know, but it hasn't become a compound word?
I don't think so.
Are you sure?
I'm fairly certain.
Okay.
It just got controversial in here.
Yeah, I really did. Okay. No, you're probably right.
The bottom of the pyramid is basically all information in the world.
Shouldn't that be the I? That's a joke.
Okay, so here's a computing scenario, right? There is an application out in the world. It is called 2+2. Ooh. It is an app out in the App Store on the internet, right?
Can that be one of the moons?
That's going to be part of the all info in the world.
Oh,
sorry, that's part of the memory pyramid.
Okay,
that's information. The moon could probably be a user.
Okay, so
is something that I'm thinking. What if one moon is the internet, and then another moon is a person? What does the internet look like? I'm about to find out. It's very exciting.
Right? That's what the other moon was?
Yes. Okay. This is good. Specifically, this is a computer user who is sad because he can't add 2+2.
Oh.
Okay.
Or she
can. Okay. Yeah, I feel like I bit off a lot when I said that all information in the world is the base of the pyramid. But basically, a computer goes to the internet.
Yeah.
And it downloads a program to the hard drive. So it asks the internet, can I have the program 2+2?
Let me do a little mouth. Can I have 2+2? Oh, that's an exclamation point, not a question mark.
The internet says yes, and sends the program goes through the computer, but it gets stored on the hard drive, right?
Okay, so it goes like you download it to boop, boop, boop right here.
Right. Then the computer's like, I am so excited to have my new application called 2+2. I'm going to run the 2+2 application. So I will load the 2+2 app from the hard drive into RAM.
Oh, goes from hard drive into. I need a special color for 2+2.
Goes up to RAM. 2+2 goes to RAM, and now the control unit's like, now that I've loaded the program 2+2, I will run it. I will execute the program.
It goes
right.
Wow.
So to execute the program, let's ignore cache. Cache is just faster RAM. To execute the program, it loads the number 2.
Need an X.
Oh, execute.
Yeah.
It doesn't kill the program.
I figure because you can use an app more than one time.
Yeah, it's because it's all digital. It's really hard to kill. It's all copying. Nothing ever in this whole picture has ever actually moved. It has only been copied.
Oh, well, why didn't you say so? Cappy. Did you ever see that one Stargate episode? Where there's this alien race, and they're the Greys. So the ones that like abduct us all the time.
Okay.
And the reason they look so messed up is because they used to look like humans, but they stopped being able to like produce young. And so they would copy, they would clone. And after a while, there was like, they began to like lose their form, their original human form. Because it was a copy of a copy of a copy.
That is what happens when you copy things in the analog world. When you copy them in the digital world, you always get the identical thing. So it's always the same.
Even the Stargate was about the future. It did not necessarily tell the story.
It's kind of like, copying a cassette tape to another cassette tape.
You know what, though? Stargate wasn't about the future. It was about the right then. It was about the right now. There were aliens. Maybe they figured out technology a different way than we did.
Like I like more analog kind of technology.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, when people pass stories and information around in analog ways and verbally. Yeah. Like, for instance, when I'm trying to explain computers, I've learned a lot about computers. I'm explaining it very poorly.
No. But it could be a mix of things.
So it copies the program. Into.
So I should actually use the same color. My Stargate thing didn't work. Sorry. It copies the program into
the register.
Up into here.
Right. Specifically the numbers 2. And the other number 2.
These guys here.
Yeah. The 2 and the 2. And then it sends them to the ALU and is like, yo, I have these 2 numbers called 2 and 2.
1 second. Okay, the ALU's got it.
Right. And it's important to remember the ALU doesn't have the program.
Oh.
Right. And this is what makes this is a
good thing I used a different color then.
This is a general purpose computer. Right? This is what makes this different than like the ENIAC that we used for math in World War II, right?
Okay.
The ENIAC basically was just an ALU and it had been pre-programmed. And it was very hard to reprogram. That's what is important about the von Neumann architecture. With this control unit, it's like, here's what we're going to do now. I looked up a program in the RAM, and I'm going to follow those instructions. And I'm going to tell the ALU, which is embodied by a literal RAM.
Literal RAM.
To do some math.
Do you want, we can call it Aries, if you'd like.
I'm going to tell Aries to do some math.
That sounds fancy.
Here are the inputs.
He doesn't have to listen to you. He's a god.
The number 2.
Sorry.
The number 2.
Okay.
And the thing you're supposed to do to the 2 numbers, which is plus.
Yeah.
And then the output of ALU is 4.
Wait. Oh, yeah. Wait. I didn't get the CU to go. I wanted its eyes to go. Whoop, 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 whoop.
Oh, okay.
Wait. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Oh, no. Whoop, 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 whoop.
I would say that the register doesn't do the whoop, whoop, whoop. Right? The CU has gotten the number and it put it in the register.
Okay.
Then it got another number and it put it in the register.
Okay.
Right? So the register has the 2 2s in it, but it doesn't have the whole program.
Oh no, we need the plus. So I was just putting the 2 2s in there? I left the plus register behind? Oh man, got it. Oops.
No, don't worry about that. That's part of the program.
Okay.
The program was in the hard drive. Then the program was in the RAM.
Bloop, 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 bloop.
Apparently, we put the program in the cache, and that's fine too.
But, yeah.
And then the program was read by the CU one thing at a time.
Okay.
Right? So like one whoop whoop at a time.
Bloop. Bloop. Bloop.
Right. And the first bloop, let's just do 3 bloops.
Oh, wait. I'll get it better. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, first bloop was a 2. And that goes into the register.
And I need a new. So this is a 2.
Oh, in the register.
Oh, I'm gonna have to change my color. That's fine. Let's do this. It was a 2.
Yeah. And then the second bloop is a 2.
Yet another.
The third bloop is a plus, and that goes into the ALU, not in the register. Right? And it says, ALU, look up what's in the register and plus them. Well, that's just Satan.
I know. Well, Satan's not a ram. He's a goat.
Okay.
Same diff.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That the control unit reads a program from the RAM, puts the information that needs to be at hand on the countertop, for instance, into the register, tells the ALU to look up what's inside of the register, do the math.
Okay.
Then the ALU outputs a 4. And then you can just go all back down the chain.
So now it knows.
Yeah, the
4.
Yeah. The CU has learned 4, and then the 4 can go into RAM. You can write it down into the random access memory.
Oh, okay. It goes down here?
Yeah.
Huh.
And then that can be stored on the hard drive.
Oh.
Right?
And it also goes...
And now you could tweet about it.
Those should be up here.
So the sad person can tweet and tell the cat that the answer to 2 + 2 is 4.
That's not even going to say the 2 + 2. Hey.
Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Can you explain this diagram to me?
I wanted to test. Well, first I wanted to say, I just wanted to see if it worked the same way with, say, my Sims.
Oh, the Sims. Okay.
So, like, if I have the Sims, they're on my hard drive.
Yeah.
And they go up into my RAM and maybe into my cache, whatever. I'm still not sure on that thing.
Yeah.
So, maybe it doesn't work, because would the plus bit be like the machine of the Sims, the thing that makes all the Sims do what they need to do, and the 2 and the 2 are the Sims themselves? Or is it all the same?
This is very good. I'm very glad you asked this.
Okay.
Because what we have is data and instructions. So the 2s are data, and the instruction is a plus. When they're on your hard drive, data and instructions are all the same.
Yes.
So you have a program on your hard drive.
Which going back, all the info in the world, I was like, internet, give me the Sims. It's on sale. And the internet was like, sure.
And that's how you got onto your hard drive.
That's how I got on my hard drive.
Right.
Just making sure.
Now you double click
the
program.
Doop, doop. It's just one click. It's a Mac.
That's loaded into RAM.
Okay.
And the reason that programs are loaded into RAM is because the RAM is so much faster. So think about when your computer slows down because you have too many tabs open.
So that's why The Sims 2, which is only like 2 gigs on my new computer, runs so fast, but The Sims 4, which is like 14 gigs, runs so slow.
Yes.
Because the RAM. I have no idea what it is.
That's exactly right.
But that's it. Okay, cool.
Because if you have a 14, let's say you have that 2 gigabyte computer, right? The largest program that you could have in RAM at once is 2 gigabytes. So if you have a 14 gigabyte program, 12 gigabytes has to stay on the hard drive, and you have to keep on sending it up and down.
Which is why it gets so like...
Yeah, it'll stutter because it's like, oh, you wanted to go to a different part of the world or open up a different couch
you
or something?
wanted to greet a neighbor?
I didn't keep that in RAM. I left that on the hard drive, so I'm going to swap some stuff in and out from the RAM, right?
This is why none of my Sims ever fall in love.
So now the program is in the RAM, right?
Okay, yeah.
And so what the CU, the control unit, does is it looks at the RAM and it's like, what are we going to do? And the RAM is like, is a list of instructions and also data.
Okay.
So the instruction is, here's how to draw a sim on the screen, right? And then the data is, here is a picture of a sim.
Okay.
Right? Or here is like the 3D model or whatever.
Yeah.
So when the CU has the instruction here, the how, right? That's the plus, right? The how is the plus sign is the instruction. The how to do something or what to do to the data is the instruction. The data, the sim, like the sims that are stored on the hard drive, like the images and the graphics and the vertexes and that kind of stuff, is the data. So that's the what. So that's like the twos. So
the reticulated splines. So I'm throwing a lot of deep sims.
The splines, I believe, are the data.
Yeah.
Reticulating them is an instruction.
Is the instruction.
Right? So, and this is a lot of this stuff for video games is very graphical, and that's where you have the GPU, the graphics processing unit, which is very similar to the CPU, but different.
Does that also go on the scaffolding? Is the GPU another RAM?
No, the GPU
is another eye?
Is like it's like a floating pyramid adjacent to the current pyramid.
Hey, do you remember in Stargate how the pyramids are spaceships? All right. Boom.
So
what's this one?
The CU says, oh, my ALU hates doing graphics math.
Oh, angry. So it's got like some...
Which, to be fair, the CU doesn't actually decide this. It was written into the program. Like the programmer who made the Sims decided what the CU would do, what the CPU would do, and what the GPU would do. Okay. But for graphics tasks, the program that the CU is running through, right? It's reading through the Sims, right? It found an instruction and it says, put some splines on the GPU, and it basically you're sending information from the RAM to the GPU.
Oh, wait! I just had a great idea. Okay, just some regular. Oh my gosh. Some regular sending of the info, and then the GPU comes out like, wow.
What often happens is the GPU is typically plugged in to your monitor, so the GPU will just draw a picture and show it right to the person. Oh. So a lot of times the GPU is the last step.
I don't know. It's just a cool brush that I have.
I mean, those are pixels.
Yes.
So the CU is reading through a program called the Sims in RAM. When it's basic logic, like falling in love, it has the ALU calculated. Basically, the things it puts in register are kind of like Sim 1 and Sim 2, and then there's some sort of equation. Do they fall in love? It asks the ALU. The ALU says yes or no. Now it keeps reading through the program and it finds like, oh, these are drawing instructions for the GPU. I'll ship off a bunch of data and some instructions to the GPU, and then the GPU will draw the actual picture.
Sleep Ace.
That's right.
Brought it back.
But that's a computer.
Yeah. Cool. We did it.
Megan, I'm really grateful that we did this.
Me too. We might have to cut all of it though.
Here's the way I think about this.
Okay. This might be the best drawing I've ever done.
Teaching is learning.
Uh-huh.
Also, I need to learn how to teach.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's a lot of things about computers that I don't even know.
That's true, but you knew this part, and now, honestly, I'm taking away from this. I actually understand how RAM works now.
I mean,
obvious. I get the basic concept, but the fact that I actually know how RAM works, I've learned something today.
That's amazing. What a testimonial.
I know, right? I'm gonna rate and review.
So
5 stars. Learned RAM.
Learned
Whoa.
RAM today. I think the only thing to do is just to revisit this a year from now and just try it again, and we'll just get better, I'm sure. But there's so many other topics. Computers, very sort of a fractal thing. Turns out if fractals. Everything in this, even in this diagram, which is limited,
what?
has like a million things you can learn about. There's like each of these things has 7 Wikipedia articles.
We can learn about ourselves, the user. That's kind of what we're doing today.
Which is the most important question. Why is Leap Haste so sad?
Well, you saw The Fall. That was a real tearjerker. Pushing Daisies was canceled, which is like, I'm still really angry about that.
That's why I'm sad. All right. Well, I just wanted to thank
finally
everybody.
Watched The Hobbit. Hot takes.
I just want to thank everybody.
You can cut that out.
For listening and watching. If you watched this, man, people who weren't watching, they've missed. You know what? I don't know if this is going to be a podcast because this is going to be
might just have to be
such
YouTube.
Good YouTube. But if anything, you owe it to yourself to skip to the end of the YouTube video and look at this beautiful illustration of how computers work.
We'll make it the guy.
The thumbnail?
We'll link to the, I don't know how you say it. I say Imgur. IMGUR.
I don't know how you say it either.
I don't know.
Imgur?
We'll put up a link.
To the Imgur in the podcast description.
Yeah.
There you go.
This is how computers work.
You're welcome. Next time.
Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Gonna learn about the coins. It's exciting.
Megan, thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Audience, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to teach you things. And I hope you learned something. Goodbye.